If you like horror, hit that notification bell, smash that like button, and push that subscribe button now.
What's the boogeyman?
Hello, Sydney.
Welcome to my nightmare. We want the man who did this.
Welcome to Nick Push's Horror Channel.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Saturday evening. It is May 17th. So I just randomly decided to go live tonight. Every other channel's talking Jason. It's my turn to talk some Jason because we did get some interesting, I don't want to even call it news, but interesting concept art this week. And like I said, all these other channels have been talking about it. It's my turn. I haven't went live, especially like a real live like this, in a long fucking time. And I figured it's about time. Perfect opportunity here with some Jason news because I got to be honest, I'm excited that we're actually talking some Friday the 13th. Some real Friday the 13th, not just shit from 40 years ago that is, we're ranking and stuff like that. And we know we're not going to get another movie or any content for, the next 10 years. No, we're talking real Friday the 13th stuff. And that is extremely exciting because, we've been starving for it, right? As we all know, we've had lawsuits, we've had, all kinds of shit, canceled projects, all kinds of stuff, even my cat who's outside the door and you can probably hear meowing is excited for Jason. So tell me in the comments, guys, or in the chat, whatever, what are you most excited for about Jason? And then we're going to bring up the concept art here in a minute and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about some things I've heard on other channels from other, reputable sources and just kind of go from there. It's Saturday night. It's 8:30 Eastern time, so there may not be too many people here for number one, because like I said, I never go live anymore. And number two, maybe people have a life unlike me. So, depending on where you are in the country, you could be eating dinner right now or anything like that. But if you do show up, if you are here to talk Friday the 13th, I appreciate it. And even if you're watching after the fact, of course I appreciate it. And so is my goddamn cat, who I'm going to fucking wring her neck like Jason wrung, or pull Rick from part 3 if she doesn't shut up. But let's talk some Friday the 13th. All right. So we got concept art, like I said, this week. Okay. And it's pretty interesting. There's a lot that I like about it. And there's something that I really don't like about it. And it's pretty much on par with the fans. But I did want to talk about one part of Jason's look that I've never been keen on. But I think I'm changing my tune on it. So Rob is in the house. Review. Rob, how you doing? Says, I'm excited to see what this Peacock show is going to be. And then a new movie. Me too. A lot to unpack, especially with the Peacock show. And, is that going to lead into a movie? Is Jason going to be in there? We know he's going to be in there eventually, right? But, obviously it's starting with Pamela, all kinds of shit. Lavelle Jackson, how you doing, man? Nick is back. I am back. Just excited to see any reboot of Friday the 13th. Yeah, me too. At the end of the day, we're going to get some content here, which is exciting. We're going to get shit to talk about. Look at like what happened when Halloween 2018 was coming out and what that has done, what that did for fans connecting, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, wherever, fans connecting. Now, obviously that turned pretty goddamn sour with the fan discourse, and that's just par for the course, right? Everyone talks about horror fans being better than all these other fans. We're not. We argue about stupid shit. I think it's fun. I'm not going to lose any sleep over, what Jason's mask looks like, or, the fact that I can see Michael's eyes, I might be, bitching about it, right? But I'm not losing sleep over it. So, but it's cool that we have shit to talk about. Really, really cool. All right, let's pull up this concept art that came, it was dropped by Jason Universe. does anyone know what Jason Universe actually fucking is? Like, what is it? Like, is it just like I don't know. I have no idea what Jason Universe is. No fucking clue. If anyone knows exactly what it is, I know they're kind of in charge of Jason, I guess. But if anyone knows exactly like it is, leave it in the chat or comment below if you're watching after the fact, because I'm just confused by it. But I got a bloody disgusting article next to me. But for a little context, but we're going to pull this up right now. So without further ado, let's do that. Let's do this. All right. So here is the concept art for the new Jason Voorhees. Like I said, this is just concept art. I'm sure there's going to be little tweaks or things that are going to change. But let me know what you guys think of this look. I am mixed on it. Let's just start from the bottom and go up to the top here, and I'll give you guys my opinions, and then we're going to zoom in on the mask, and we can talk about the mask here. But first of all, it's almost look at his shoes. I'm trying to think of what Jason wore for shoes in like part 3 and 4. I can't remember. These look like almost like work boots, right? Which I kind of dig. I kind of like that. I want to say in part like 3 and 4 back, in what was that, 82 and 84, it wasn't like work boots like this, but it was almost like not dress shoes, kind of like in between work boots and dress shoes, but I can't remember offhand. But yeah, I'm digging those kind of, work boots. Maybe they're steel toe, right? Who knows? But I like it. And then you get what looks like, I'm guessing those are either jeans, right? Jeans, looks pretty good. Jason's pretty fit in this concept art, which is what we want. We don't want a big fat Jason like Michael Myers in part Halloween 6, right? So I'm digging it. He looks, it doesn't look, hard to tell how tall he is, right? But like, doesn't look tiny like Kane Hodder. So that's good. The one thing that I've never, ever liked on Jason, ever, is a fucking jacket. Never liked it. Overcoat, jacket, whatever you want to say. Unbuttoned thing like that. I've never liked it. But I don't mind this. Okay. In Freddy vs. Jason, I thought he looked fucking terrible. I thought he looked absolutely terrible with that overcoat or jacket or whatever you want to call it. In the remake, I love Derek Mears. I thought Derek Mears is one of the best Jasons ever, like top 3 for me. But I wasn't a fan of that overcoat. This one I don't mind because it's a little tighter. It's almost like could be buttoned, but it's a little tighter. And I heard it didn't really click with me, because like I said, I've never liked it. But it didn't really click with me until I was watching Vince DeSante last night, who, as you guys all know, probably, he's the creator, director, everything, including Jason on the Never Hike Alone series. Had him on the channel maybe a year and a half ago, last year, something like that. But anyway, he was saying that this is basically the concept for Ghost Jason from that movie. And it didn't really click with me that Jason was wearing something like this in the Never Hike Alone series, franchise, whatever you want to call it. It didn't really click with me, but so I'm gonna have to go rewatch that and see what Jason and Vince looked like in those movies. But I like I said, I never like him wearing an overcoat, but I kind of like this. I like the way it fits on this concept art. Lavelle says, looks too much like the last reboot. Yeah, it kind of does. I'm going to have to revisit that. I really am. Because I know what you're saying. And it might be a little too much like that. Obviously, he's got a machete in his hand. But let's zoom in on here. Let's talk about the mask, okay? Because there's been a lot of people that have been bashing the mask. And then there's been other people who say, who cares? It's just a mask. And it is just a mask, right? If it's something different, that is fine, because this is going to be a kind of new iteration of Jason, right? So different isn't always bad. Everyone complains about different, but then we get the same shit as before, and they complain about the same shit. They can never win, right? But I want to talk about this mask for a second here, okay? So I have issues with it, major issues with it. And mostly mostly it's the shape of it. I don't like the way it kind of gets thinner towards his face. It's almost like shaped like my head. You know, I got a kind of like a skinny head here, right? And it's like oval, and then it kind of, my chin kind of goes down like this. That's kind of what the mask is. I like a more rounded mask. You know, I just do. And I've never been a fan, you know, if this is what Jason ends up looking like, exactly. Like, I've never been a fan of Jason with hair. I know he's had hair in other movies. He's definitely had hair in number 2, obviously, right? He definitely had hair in Jason X. I've just never been a fan of Jason with hair, and especially it's like thinning. Like, I get it. I completely get it. And it's totally fucking nitpicking, right? But I've just never been a huge fan of him with hair. But yeah, so I don't like the shape of this mask at all. You know, Adam, who just joined, hey, Adam says, not feeling the eye holes. Yeah, me either. This is actually my first zoomed in look. I took a screenshot. I blew it up and took a screenshot of it and threw it up in here. But this is my first zoomed in look at the eye holes. And I don't like it either. I just don't. It's almost rectangle with rounded corners. It's a little bizarre. And sometimes bizarre is good, right? Like, sometimes bizarre is completely fine, but I don't like it. I would like maybe a rounded eye hole with blacked out eyes almost, or something like that. I'm not feeling that part. Rob says, looks like the part 4 mask and the reboot below. Yeah, it looks like a combination of that almost, right? Like, especially like when we're talking, like when you see the mask up close here with the hair, you know, that kind of reminds me a little bit of the reboot, right? And then, like, what do they call it? The chevron marks. Like, I don't know. I don't know. We're obviously nitpicking here, right? But I'm not a fan of the mask. I think they can do better. James says, going back to his look from 3-4 in the reboot. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for going back to the looks of those earlier Friday the 13th movies. Part 3 is my favorite Jason of all time. I love Richard Brooker's performance. I love the way he looks. I love the way Jason is, like, it feels like Jason's having fun. You know, when he throws down that harpoon gun and turns toward the house to go chop Andy in half or whatever, he is having fun. You know, when he is hanging there by the barn, and, you know, Chris opens the barn door and he lifts up his mask, and he like snarls at her and smiles, and she's like, "Oh, it's you." So good. And like I've said this before, but Richard Brooker was a trapeze artist, believe it or not. He died. Apparently he used to smoke like 500 cigarettes a day or something. But he died a long time ago. But he moved with some grace to him. You could just see it. Like, obviously he had these lumbering shoulders and traps in part 3, like Goldberg, as everyone says, right? But he moved gracefully, and it really looked like he was having a ball, not even just playing Jason, but having a ball killing everyone at Hagen's Haven. So yeah, part 3 is easily my favorite Jason. I love Ted White too, because it's kind of goes hand in hand there, right? Like, part 4 Jason, final chapter Jason, is essentially part 3 Jason, just pissed off, right? And as we know, he ran in part 2. He ran in part 3. Remember, Chris sees him like in the rearview mirror, kind of running, even with his hurt knee. He runs after Trish in part 4. You know, he didn't. You know, so are we going to get a running Jason in this? You know, those work boots he's wearing here, these steel toe work boots. You know, maybe you know, who knows? But there's a lot of possibilities here. Like I said, even though I'm shitting on the mask, and it's nitpicking, right? This is just concept art, but I'm shitting on the mask. But I'm digging everything else about this look. And like I said, I do not like overcoat Jason, but I like this. I like the way it fits. Adam says, agreed. Part 3, Jason is a beast. Yeah, he is. He is just badass. That, you know, part 3 is where Jason became the Jason that we knew, or that we know now. And you're right. He was vulnerable too. He got stabbed in the hand by Chris. He got stabbed in the knee. He fell down from a bunch of books falling on him. It's crazy. Richard Brooker, Jason loves to toy with you, but he was built like a linebacker. Oh yeah, he definitely toyed with people. You know, he like there's just something about that Jason that I always love. Now there's so many slow parts of the middle of that movie. So like I can't say it's my favorite Friday the 13th movie because I think the pacing is fucking terrible. And the 3D effects haven't aged well. And because because of the 3D, they had to move from the Northeast over to California. Because of the 3D, they had to light everything up. So Jason's lit up like a Christmas tree and he's not in the shadows anymore. So there's issues with that movie, but Jason is by far the best for me in that movie. So I would love to see something, like that. If you guys could combine two different Jasons to have be like our new Jason, which Jasons would you pick? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. I've never really thought about that question before. Obviously, for me, it's going to be Brooker and someone else. But yeah. James says, I can see why fans like the first four movies. The best tension, atmosphere, kills. Yeah. Those are just my kind of movies. Like I know Part 6 is a fan favorite, and I 100% understand why. Like I know why everybody loves Friday the 13th. Jason Lives, right? Like I know that, but Part 4, like you said, James, the tension, the atmosphere, the kills are just fucking brutal, absolutely brutal. But this, guys, I just not feeling it. I am just not feeling The Mask at all. And now that was it Adam that mentioned the eye holes? Now that I'm really looking at the eye holes again here, like I don't think I'm overreacting. Like I thought earlier this morning, I was watching Blake and Ronnie. I woke up and watched that. Those guys, they did like a breakfast stream almost, which is pretty cool. It's nice to wake up on a Saturday morning and have, some horror to talk about. But as I was watching them, and they were talking about, their thoughts on The Mask, I was like, man, maybe I'm overreacting. But seeing this up close, Adam mentioning the eyes, like I said, the reverse teardrop shape, I'm just not a fan of it. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on Jason's look. I'm gonna just kind of pick out some pieces now of this bloody disgusting article that is talking about this look. And then one thing I forgot to mention is this was designed by Greg Nicotero, which actually brings a lot of credibility and weight to it. Greg Nicotero did a lot of The Walking Dead. He's responsible for directing a lot of the biggest Walking Dead episodes. He's a special effects artist. I don't know if he came from the Savini camp or anything like that. I don't think so. But I'm pretty sure he worked on Friday. I don't know. Was it Friday 7? No, Friday 6. He worked on one of the other Friday movies. I'm fairly certain. But he's been involved in a lot of shit. And he's he's the best in the business. One of the best in the business. He'd be on the Mount Rushmore along with Savini. But let's just see here. I just want to read this quote here from Greg Nicotero. He says, I think it's from Greg Nicotero. Or no, it's from Jason Universe about this look. Okay. Let's pull this back up here. Okay. It says, we strive to maintain Jason's original essence while continuing to move toward the future with a defined look and feel that takes Jason into his next chapter. So I think that's a good quote right there. There's more to it, which I'm going to read in a second here. But I think, it's so easy for us to get stuck in the past where this is what should happen. They should be inspired by the past to kind of mold it and, make it, make it fresh moving forward. It can't just be the same old shit. If it's going to be the same old shit, I can just go pop in the other movies that I know I'm going to like better anyway. It continues, says, we're also working with both familiar and fresh franchise voices to strike that balance. I wonder who those people are. Said Horror Inc. President Rob, someone, who gives a shit what his last name is. We gave Greg our new 13-hole mask and worked together on this full-bodied look that embodies classic Jason. He's strong, towering, and terrifying. Or he's a strong, towering, and terrifying slasher with a machete, his weapon of choice. Okay. So we gave Greg our new 13 eye hole. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I'm counting 12. Our new 13-hole mask, I should say. I don't know. 4 up top, 4 across, that's 8. And then a square makes 4, unless there's one like down underneath there. Anyway, now I'm not, see, now I'm being a real like sweaty nerd here, trying to pick apart how many holes are in this mask. But yeah, so Greg Nicotero brings a lot of credibility to this. So that's a good thing there. All right, let's see what else is going on in the chat here. James says part 3 was slow pace and the acting was not the best, but the fight at the end between Jason and Chris was great, especially in the barn. Yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's not only one of my favorite final chase scenes in the Friday the 13th franchise, it's one of my favorite final chase scenes in the history of horror movies. Because if you think about it, the chase starts right when Jason throws Rick's body through the window, right? And, you kind of scene of him like crawling through the window and Chris then running up the stairs. She throws the books on him. Doing this from memory, so if I missed something, I apologize. But she throws the books on him, hides in the closet, takes the little, I think it's machete. I think it takes the machete out of Tracy Savage's neck, stabs Jason in the hand, stabs him in the knee, jumps out the window, right? So then she hits him with the log, and then all of a sudden you think you're going to the barn, right? No, first we got to do the van shit. So then we get the van stuff, and Jason smashes his head through there, and then we get everything in the barn, with her jumping down on him, with her climbing up and then hitting him over the head with the shovel, then hanging his ass, and then opening the barn door, and then we get the scene I was talking about earlier where, he snarls at her, and then Ali comes out of nowhere. Adam's avatar here comes out of nowhere and risks his life for some reason to save Chris. But yeah, just fucking awesome. Absolutely awesome. The less said about the dream sequence, the better. Even though I do like the visual of, or the dream where the visual of him trying to get out the window, like he's clawing at the window, his mask is off, blood is dripping down his face, and he's trying to get out the window. He's like clawing at it like a fucking goddamn ghoul. Like that is terrifying to me. Like that part right there of him trying to claw through that window in Chris's, I guess, imagination is fucking petrifying. Could you imagine seeing that, especially the way he looks? Adam, I mentioned it a few minutes ago. Jason looking out the barn window unmasked was maniacal. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I could watch the third act of that movie a lot. I'm going to rewatch it tonight, actually. Thank you, Rob. Greg Nicotero did Jason Goes to Hell. I knew he did one of the movies. Now, whatever your feelings are on Jason Goes to Hell, and I know it's collectively thought by the masses to be the worst in the franchise, not by me. I actually enjoy it, even though I think it's mostly nostalgia. But Jason Goes to Hell had some goddamn amazing gore and amazing special effects. So, just having Greg Nicotero involved in that, and obviously, I don't know how much he's going to be involved in the future of the franchise, but he's obviously involved in the look of Jason, which is something I didn't know was going to be happening. So it brings a lot of credibility. Excuse me. James says, I love the part 3 makeup look more like he did in part 1. And he looked really close to what he did in part 1. Really close. James says he met Dana Kimmel at Monster Mania. She was so nice and looks great. That's awesome. That's awesome. I've never met any actors or actresses from the Friday franchise. I haven't met too many in general. I met Nick Castle from Halloween, obviously, not Friday, year and a half ago or so. But other than that, I haven't met too many people. Dana Kimmel, yeah, she's great. Chris Higgins is a great character. She needs to be talked about more. But I'm glad she was so nice. She's got to be. I mean, it's took an early 80s there. That's over 40 years ago, and she's probably in her mid 20s there. So she's probably getting close to 70. So I'm glad she looks great. That's awesome. We're gonna start having a lot of these Friday and Halloween actors and actresses. They're gonna start popping off soon, and it's gonna be crazy. Well, we just had one, right? Lar Park, and she was youngish, right? So yeah, it's crazy. Lavelle says, friendly bet that we get an old man Jason and a kid named Charlie stealing his mask. Is that a reference to something? Old man Jason and a kid named Charlie stealing his mask. Is that a reference to something, Lavelle? Let me know. Let me know. So yeah, Jason Voorhees coming back. What do you guys want to see in Crystal Lake, the TV show? Okay, obviously, it's not going to start with Jason, right? I heard some interesting ideas yesterday from Vince DeSante. I'm going to steal from him because that's what Jason Universe seems to do, steal from him. But he mentioned something pretty interesting to me, and I can't remember if it was on his channel or he also was a guest on Backtrack Cinema with the guy that created the Jason Rising movie. They're both on there, along with Jason from Backtrack Cinema. But anyway, they were talking about Pamela and the new series, right? And they mentioned what we heard in an article or press release a month or so ago, that something about Pamela having a singing career. And I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, Vince mentioned, that Pamela and Jason's bond needs to be strong, and things like that. But like Pamela's always trying to sing and start her career, but Jason keeps getting in the way or something like that. But there's no resentment there. It's more just like their bond becomes stronger. And, I agree. I don't want this to be where Pamela is crazy from the get-go, like at all. I want Pamela to be a normal, loving mother who something snaps when Jason drowns. Like something absolutely snaps. And she just goes crazy. Like, I do not want to see, I don't want to feel sorry. I don't mind feeling sorry for Pamela when Jason dies, right? But I don't want to feel sorry for her, like she's getting beaten by Elias, her husband, or something like that. I don't want to. Okay, and I don't want to feel sorry for Jason. Jason's getting bullied. Like, who said Jason gets bullied? Where did that come from? Did it come from Freddy vs. Jason? Is that where that came from? Like, I'm just confused a little bit. Like, I think like some of it is kind of like the Mandela effect, right? Where like, we saw in Jason's mind and Freddy's dream or Jason's dream or through Freddy, whatever the fuck I'm trying to say here. But we saw him getting bullied in Freddy vs. Jason, right? In there, his dream. But did that actually happen? That doesn't mean that it actually happened. He looks like a freak, right? He's a mongoloid. So we can safely assume he's probably getting bullied, right? But we don't know that. It's just like it's just like when people say Jason is like slow or dumb, or Blake and Ronnie's word that they like to use. Where are we getting that from? Just based on how he looked? Because Jason's not dumb. He's smart. He survived that long in the wilderness. So it's just interesting the way some of that stuff works. But yeah, I thought Vince had some really clever ideas last night on what he'd want to see in the Crystal Lake series. So, and that's not surprising, right? Vince obviously is a talented guy, created Never Hike Alone. Obviously we're not all going to agree with every decision or everything he says, but he's a talented guy who loves the franchise. And he had some really cool ideas last night. James says, I wanted to meet Lar Park from part 7 so badly, Nick. Tina was my favorite Friday the 13th final. She took it to him. Yeah, she definitely took it to him. Yeah, it's unfortunate. She's been dead like almost a month now, right? Maybe a couple weeks, something like that. Yeah, it's crazy. You start hearing stuff like that, and you're like, oh, okay, like she must have been old, and she wasn't that. And you think, oh yeah, she was that, and then you start looking at your own age. You're like, oh, that's not too far away for me. So you start kind of, looking at your own mortality sometimes. But yeah, I've heard so much good things about Lar Park Lincoln. So it's very sad that she died like she did already. Like that's just crazy. But yeah, what was I just watching with her the other day? It wasn't Friday 7. Oh, it was House 2, the second story. I forgot that she was in there. Live to Fish Work says, out to dinner with my in-laws. I'm sorry I got to catch this tonight when my wife falls asleep. All good, buddy. All good. Hope you're doing well. Hope your channel's thriving. I got to get back out there. I've been slacking on YouTube, so I apologize. But thanks for stopping in, and I hope you enjoy your dinner, and I hope your in-laws aren't on your ass too much. Hey, Pat, what's up, man? Pat says, we don't need Pamela to have a singing career. That's reaching too much. Well, first and foremost, guys, if you're not already, go check out Pat the Halloween Movie Collector's channel. Pat's a good guy. Pat, Brett, the whole team over there. A lot of good shit on his channel. They do watch alongs like a couple times a week, all kinds of live streams, all kinds of cool videos. So go check Pat out. Not only he's got a lot of good horse shit, but he's a good guy. But let's unpack what Pat says here. It says we don't need Pamela to have a singing career. That's reaching too much. Yeah, it's so weird. It's such a weird thing. Like, I thought she was the cook. Like, so we're going to add a singing career? Like, I don't mind little tweaks and changes, right? Like, you gotta modernize shit, right? Like, especially nowadays, right? Like, nobody could really afford to feed their family as like a cook for a summer camp. Although this is taking place in the 70s. So where's this singing career coming from? What kind of music is it? 70s, like, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't get it either, Pat. I'm with you. It's just weird and feels unnecessary. And the fact that they put it in the press release, right? Or whatever. The fact that they mentioned she has a singing career already means it's not just going to be some background thing. It's going to be a main driving point of the story. You know, it's like when Halloween Ends came out, right? Or the Halloween Ends trailer came out, and then they dropped the information on Corey Cunningham. It's like, why are they doing this? Because Corey Cunningham is going to play a huge role in this. So the singing career is probably going to play a huge role in how Pamela snaps, why her and Jason, why something with their relationship. It feels odd to mention the singing career. Very, very odd. Rob says, I just watched the first movie for its anniversary, and I don't remember them mentioning Jason being bullied. It was more the counselors were doing it instead of watching the kid and he drowned. Yeah, I mean, I think the only clue we get is when Pamela says, what does she say? She hesitates, right? He wasn't a very good swimmer. It's like she was gonna say, drop the word that Blake and Ronnie use on their channel all the time. But she didn't. So I think, like, in our mind, we're reading that she said, Jason is slow, and we know slow people usually get bullied because that's the world we live in, where kids are mean, right? Or he looks like that, so he's obvious. I think we just assume, right? But I don't think it was mentioned ever. Just shown in Freddy vs. Jason and Jason's dream. Yeah, Pat, good to be back. Like I said, it's been a while. I get lazy sometimes. But it's nice to have an outlet, and it's nice to come back and actually have something fun to talk about, even though this is, in retrospect, kind of a big nothing burger, right? It's concept art for Jason Voorhees. But it's fucking something. It's something that we've been just waiting for. And, seeing this Jason image kind of makes it feel real, right? We're not just saying we're going to get some Friday the 13th content. We're actually going to get some Friday the 13th content. And obviously Crystal Lake is in, like I said, I can't remember if it's pre-production or actual production. I know they rented office buildings or whatever, and they've probably been rented a while if it dropped. But either way, we're pretty definitely getting some type of Friday the 13th content in the near future. So I'm excited. I hope that this TV series, and I'm probably in the minority on this, but I hope that this TV series drops weekly. I hope each episode drops weekly. Because think about how fun it would be to watch an episode, and then you get a week of coming up with theories on what's going to happen next. And all of us can jump on YouTube and talk about, what we thought of the last episode and what we think is going to happen next week and stuff like that. Old school TV. I would love that. I don't think they would. I think it's going to be more like, like Cobra Kai situation, unfortunately. But yeah, it really would be awesome, in my opinion, if they dropped episodes on a weekly basis. Yes, Adam, thank you. I keep forgetting to talk about this. Crazy Ralph, a Crazy Ralph backstory would be fucking awesome. I was saying this, I can't remember who I was saying this to. I might have Blake and Ronnie in like a text message a long time ago, like a year ago or something. But I think Crazy Ralph, for the little he is in the franchise, he is still a top 5 most important character in all of Friday the 13th. Obviously, Jason's, probably the most important. Not probably, Jason's the most important. And you probably got Pamela, and you got Tommy Jarvis, right? And then it might be Crazy Ralph, just for what he means to the overall vibe of those first 2 movies, especially the first movie, right? Because he obviously dies a little early in the second one. But he is that important through the vibe, Camp Blood and all kinds of shit. He's even a red herring kind of in that first movie. So yeah, Crazy Ralph. I would love to find out more about him. He's a drunk at this time, but why is he so scared of Crystal Lake? Why is he so scared of Camp Blood? Why is he warning random girls at diners not to go there? And like, how long has he been doing that for? They said, like, I can't remember if it was like 5 years after the events of, 5 years after, what the hell was it? Whenever that killings happened in the first movie, like right at the beginning, right? 5 years after that, I think they said there was like a fire. So that was obviously Pamela, right? But has Crazy Ralph been doing that for like, if Jason drowned in what, 57? Was it 57? And then was he doing it for over 20 years, warning people, even as a young man? Interesting. Like, but there's a lot of stuff to discuss with Crazy Ralph, and it could be interesting, right? Like, did he have a kid that died there? Maybe he had a kid that was a friend with Jason. Maybe he's boning Pamela. Maybe he's Jason's dad. Maybe he's, there's so many endless possibilities. But yeah, he's kind of the prototypical messenger of doom in a lot of horror movies. And it'd be cool to, if they are going back and we are getting, Pamela at the beginning, let's get Ralph in there too. Maybe her and Ralph hate each other. Maybe they had some rivalry. Maybe it's like, I don't know. Like, maybe they just had a family rivalry. And Ralph knows what Pamela is capable of. He can't prove it, but he knows something's wrong here, And maybe I don't know. Maybe he's got like a detective family. I don't know. But there's a lot of shit you could do with Crazy Ralph that could be very, very interesting. Adam agrees with me. He says he doesn't want to binge. Plus, it's good for discussion week to week. Yeah, it's so good for discussion week to week. One of my favorite shows ever just ended a couple of years ago, Better Call Saul, and that was done weekly because it was on AMC, right? And it was so fun, listening to theories for the next week and all kinds of shit. How fun would that be for a horror franchise TV series like this on Friday, or for Friday the 13th? How fun would that be? I know it's coming out on Peacock, but please, I don't want to just, like, the problem is, like, let's say it dropped. Let's say, I don't know how many episodes there are going to be, right? Let's say it drops, and 8 or 10 episodes, they all drop at, let's just say, midnight one night. How are we going to fucking avoid spoilers unless you binge it? You have to watch it that weekend. I'm sure a lot of people are going to stay up to midnight and watch, and take off work or something and watch it all the way through. I don't want to do that. I want to spend 8 hours straight watching it. I want to watch week to week. But I feel like I would have to watch it that whole weekend because otherwise, shit's going to get spoiled by some asshole. So yeah, I'm with you. Rob says the Chucky TV series was weekly. But that was on TV and then Peacock a day later. I'm not sure how Peacock does original shows. I hope for weekly as well. I did not know Chucky was weekly, Rob. I've never seen the Chucky series, but I know Rob's a big Chucky guy. And go check out Rob's channel too, guys. Review it, Rob. Another good guy. Met him in person, actually, so I can confirm with 100% he's a good guy. But it's good to know that Chucky was weekly. Like you said, I know it was TV. It's probably Sci-Fi, right? But Peacock NBC owns that. because obviously it went to Peacock a day later. So that gives me a little hope that, because I thought my weekly thing was pretty hopeless here. But that actually gives me a little bit of hope that maybe Friday would go the weekly route. All right. So I'm going to go about another 4 or 5 minutes, guys. I got some shit to do. I know it's getting late. By shit to do, I mean I'm going to take a shower and lay down and watch a horror movie. But yeah, so if you have any Friday questions and you're watching after the fact, please put them down in the comment section. Okay. Like I said earlier, I haven't really gone live a lot. I'm going to try going live more. As you can probably see by my janky setup on StreamYard here, I am not paying for StreamYard. So they give you so many fucking limited options here. It's ridiculous. But that's why it looks a little janky. I'm going to try to go live more. Maybe I'll start paying for it, but who knows? But yeah, to summarize here, and thanks for everyone that showed up. But to summarize here, guys, we have some Friday the 13th things in the pipeline. And even though I am not a fan of this mask, and as I zoom in and look at it again here, I'm less and less of a fan of this mask. It's the eye holes, it's the shape of it, even the chevrons on the underneath the eyes. I mean, that's nitpicking, right? I'm not a fan that Horror Inc. said that there's 13 holes in there and I can only count 12. Oh, I see it. I'm an idiot. Right by the nose. Okay. All right. Scratch that part. We'll believe Greg Nicotero over me. Will 100% believe Greg Nicotero over me because I can't count, which is funny. If you know my day job, that I can't count would not be a good thing. But Adam says you're doing great, Nick. Thanks, Adam. Like I said, great to be back. I'm excited for this show, guys. I'm excited for Friday the 13th. We've been talking Halloween for so long. I'm always going to be a Halloween guy. Always. It's in my DNA. Okay. I'm a Michael guy. But Jason's always been a relatively close second, and there's just a lot of nostalgia for me with these movies. Just like a lot of you guys. Right. I remember the first Friday movie I saw was I went over to a neighbor's house. Name was Corey Franz. Okay. Corey, if you're watching, what's up, man? He's not watching. But I went over to a neighbor's house. I was 6 years old. And we were watching Friday the 13th part 3. Made me scared of barns, obviously, right? But yeah, I remember that. That was a long ass time ago. And I still remember how I felt watching it. That's what these movies do. Not only that, they bring us all together, right? Like we're bitching. And now I think we're going to see the ugly side of the Friday the 13th fans, just like we saw the ugly side of the Halloween fans, especially when Halloween Ends came around, right? Some of those people aren't even fans. They're just pushing an agenda like the Scream fans. It's just nice to be able to talk about this shit again. So, in conclusion, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm excited to talk Friday the 13th again with all of you. Hopefully we get some more news and we get some more shit to talk about. Hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend. Hope you have a great rest of your Saturday night. If you're drinking tonight, please don't drive. That's about it. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you guys next time.